welcome back to On the Road podcast with myself, Florence Musunda. As you know, season 2, it is sponsored by FNB and West Bank. I am the Road Freight SME Summit convener, and we will be having our third annual summit on the 16th and 17th of October. Make sure that you book your seat. With me today in studio is a young man that is passionate about helping not only South Africa, but helping the Africa continent and helping and focusing on a particular sector being agriculture. And the name of his business actually is the essence of who he is Mr. Waymaker. He is creating ways, market access ways for entrepreneurs and also for farmers. He has created a phenomenal combination of services underneath Waymaker Trade Solutions.
Thank you for that introduction. I've never been called phenomenal.
Oh, you are.
So thank you.
Oh, no, you definitely are. You definitely are. In preparation of this conversation, I had to watch all your interviews.
Okay.
I watched all your interviews. There's so much to talk about, and I'm asking myself, how are we going to start this conversation? But I think first and foremost, let's perhaps you take us briefly on your background in the space. Okay. You have somehow become a mouth or not even a spokesperson, but a lot of people now come to you to get some expert and research opinions around what is happening with global trade, South African's trade, as well. So just briefly tell us about yourself. I don't like that question, but yeah, just for context.
Okay. No, Florence, I'm originally from Mthatha in the Eastern Cape. Studied in Cape Town, and then I worked in logistics for a company called Santova Logistics. So at Santova, I went through a graduate program. So that graduate program, they shifted me amongst different departments. So I started in customs. I went through to road freight. I went to sea. I went to air. I went to accounts. I went to estimates. And have I left anything else? I said sea, air, road. Clearing on the clearing side, and then I went to forwarding side. So I had a very strong holistic understanding of logistics, because what I tend to find is that logistics companies kind of keep people in one I don't want to say box, but if you are in forwarding, you stay in forwarding for 6 years. You don't know what's actually happening on that
the other side.
Yeah.
True.
So with the graduate program, it allowed me to really get to understand holistically international logistics, which I was just very fascinated by. I remember when I was doing the interview, and it was in Durban, and I would go and I'd look at the port and I would ask myself, how many people that I know actually know what is going on there, you know? And I couldn't think of many. I couldn't. And with someone, you know, who, with my background, I would think that I've got quite a strong network of people, but I couldn't think of anyone or many people who knows what happens there. So I was excited, got into the job, and yeah, enjoyed that experience. Finished the graduate program. I was promoted to logistics exec at Santova. Enjoyed that, and then in 2018 I started Waymaker Trade Solutions, which was heavily influenced by my work at Santova, but we were not trying to do the same thing as what
Santova they did,
does.
Or what they're doing.
We were concerned. We were interested in exports. and how to get South African products into other countries. And now that, thanks to the work experience, we knew how to move product. But now it's one thing to know how to move product. In logistics, you're dealing with people that have already got a buyer or a seller, etc. So we wanted to move still within international trade, but now work at connecting people and opening and allowing people to know what opportunities exist out there outside of South Africa. And I think that was a good decision. Looking at what's happening with Trump now. Yeah. South Africans really don't, I think they underestimate the importance of international trade. And how important it is to us as South Africa. And I must say, when Donald Trump started talking about tariffs, I was like, oh, finally, people are going to know what tariffs are. Now every South African knows what tariffs are. Before Trump, they didn't.
And how it affects you at a personal level. How it affects you at a personal level. Before we get into the business side of you, here you are, you grew up in Umtata. Did you ever dream of doing what you're doing now? Was that the dream of your life?
No.
What was the dream of your life?
I always knew I was entrepreneurial, so I was...
Did you come from an entrepreneurial family, or...?
My father was a lawyer. My mother a lecturer at a university. So, but I never realized, but my dad was entrepreneurial because he ran his own law practice. Yeah. So my mom got me, as a child at Red Nose Day, etc. I was always selling. From
Yo,
9 years
Red
old.
Nose Day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right.
So from there, high school, I was selling. I was running the tuck shop at school. I would make trucker caps and sell for the guys, etc.
So you always had a thing about finding a buyer, being a buyer, or finding a buyer, finding a product, and also making sure that you're selling.
Yeah, it was always there. That I must, to be honest. That was because I remember we had two very close family friends, and they opened 2 petrol stations in Umtata, and they had a wimpy there, etc. And I was always saying to my dad, "Why don't you
do this,
start a business?"
my guy.
But little did I at that point in time, I didn't realize that he was actually running his own business as a law practice. Yeah.
And what was it about business that attracted you? Was it the autonomy? Was it that you can build something from scratch up? Was it that there is an illusion that you can make more money than somebody employed? What was it about business for you to say to your dad, "Man, start a business"?
I don't know. I was 10 years old. I don't know what was inspiring.
You don't know.
I just liked it. I thought it was. I think it's more. For me, it's just what excited me, as opposed to a job where I don't have an issue with jobs and working 9 to 5, etc. That there's nothing.
You need
wrong
people
there.
to work for you, so
yeah. So 100%. But I also felt that that's where I have the most potential to do well. To do that. I was never going to be an engineer. I was not going to be a chartered accountant. I don't think my high school marks got me that close.
You and Mimo.
Yeah.
Together.
So I knew that it was always one thing I knew for a fact is that it was going to be entrepreneurship. What I do as an entrepreneur,
you don't know. And then this is obviously in your younger years. Then you get to tertiary. You at UCT. Then in one of the interviews that you had, you mentioned that it was one, I don't know whether they were your mentor or one of your colleagues that said to you, if you know what happens at a port, the world is your oyster.
Yeah. So that was this lady she interviewed me when I was when I got the job for Sintova. So she was a recruitment lady from Lee Boaty and Associates in Durban. So she's the one who said, look, you get that opportunity and you go to that graduate program and the world is your oyster. And I still remember that even now. Yeah. And I think she was 100% right.
Interesting. Why I started the conversation that we're just going back to where you come from, what inspired you, is I think it's very important for people to realize what you're exposed to really contributes to your entrepreneurial journey and the kind of solutions that you're going to provide. I can only imagine at that young age and somebody saying to you, if you know how the pots work, the world is your oyster. It opened your understanding of actually how the world works, how global trade works, and what is possible for you. And that maybe then with all the experiences that you have had in your journey has influenced you creating the solution that you have within your business. Now, take us to when you decided to take the leap of faith and start your business, Waymaker. And I WhatsApped you and I asked you if the name of your business was informed by Sinatra's song Waymaker. Just take us through that moment when you decided to just jump and then create your business.
Okay. Yeah, Florence, that's a very good question. And yeah, like you said, leap of faith, it took a lot.
I'm sure you were earning a good salary, ne?
No, I was
Yeah, you are
comfortable.
proper.
I was comfortable, not where, but so I started I must have been 32 or so. But what I found interesting was when you going into entrepreneurship, you think that a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, go for it. You've got this great idea. No, especially the ones who love you and are closest to you. My mom, the one who was making me sell sweets and everything at Red Nose Day, was like, no, don't do
guy,
this.
do you know what you're doing?
My older brother was like, hey, chap, I don't think so. And I was thinking, why is he saying this when he's an entrepreneur himself? So it took, you had to get to a point where you're like, I'm doing this no matter what anybody else says, because you need to be so convicted. And you just take the leap of faith. So I took my leap of faith. I left and I spent 6 months back home in Mtata. And then I got into Black Umbrellas, Shanduga Black Umbrellas. And I was incubated there. And yeah, we're here now.
Oh, interesting. And it's been like 7 years now?
7 years, 2018.
Around about 7 years. So what informed the solution that you're providing? And we're going to unpack it. Before I ask you, obviously, your thoughts on tariffs, your thoughts on AGOA, your thoughts on all the different shifts that are happening within logistics. But Waymaker Trade Solutions, it's obviously responding to a need that you have seen or based on your experience that you noticed. What was that need, and what event triggered you to say, yes, I can create a business from this?
So it didn't start as market access. I mean, when we started, I was doing more distribution. I was working with guys that do something called Thomas Robert. I was selling colognes and moisturizer, etc. Body, I don't know what do you call those things, fragrances, etc. So, and then I was doing quite a lot of courier, local courier. So initially, it was actually kind of more logistics, but we were very interested in, I saw that I feel, and I still feel, that South Africans have a very minimal understanding of exports and international trade in comparison to other people or other countries. Even Africans are way ahead of us when it comes to international trade. We struggle with even having passports. You know, South Africans don't know Lesotho. They don't know Swaziland. You know, we don't know Botswana. These places are closer than some of the places that we travel to in South Africa.
Very true.
South Africans will get in a car and drive to Cape Town from Joburg gladly, but tell them to drive from Joburg to Botswana, and it's like you're telling them to go to China. It's a 4-hour drive. You know, it's really close. So I realized that international trade is very important, and it's still something that only is
few,
and it's almost like for an elite group. And that's where you tend to find that it's really your commercial guys that get involved with it. We do a lot of exports in South Africa. We are quite an export-geared country, and a lot of imports as well. But it's done by an elite, by the big commercial guys, and it can't stay like that. The rest of Africa isn't like that. and the opportunities that exist due to, and I've mentioned agriculture, but due to the standards and how strong our agriculture sector is, I really thought and think we need to be out there looking for more opportunities, more of us. Yeah.
From South Africa. No, what you're saying is very true. And I like the example that you gave with passports, because I have also noticed that South Africans really don't travel much.
No, we
and
love going
it's-
to Europe, and we'll go to the US. And
But
we'll
not most
Africa.
people. Yeah, and we also don't think South Africa is part of Africa. So we think we are a separate country compared to the continent. So with that, you started your business, and you started, obviously, like you've mentioned, it was more in Korea. Before, obviously, you came across opportunities to get into now what you're doing now, focusing on agriculture and market access in agriculture. And them that might have heard you speak, etc., know you to be speaking around the tariffs, AGOA, the opportunities around the Africa Free Trade Agreement. But Thina, just for, and I think I gave you context as to how this podcast came about. And you've got quite a broad understanding of transport, supply chain, and logistics. What would you say with all these shifts that are happening, and we'll get into all of them, transporter with 10 trucks as we speak, right, ought to be thinking about to make sure that they remain in business in the next, 5 years? Is it from a rail to road perspective, how that is going to affect them? Is it a go? What would you say to that person with 10 trucks, 20 trucks, looking for loads, looking for somebody that wants to send their products across, whether across in Africa or internationally? What would you say?
And they want to grow.
And they want to grow, yeah.
I'd say we really need to pay close attention to what's happening with cross-border trade. Our neighboring countries and going into SADC. I think there is some licenses that they'd have to get before where they could qualify to do cross-border. But I think that is something that is certainly growing. And I know you mentioned Catherine earlier on, but one of the things that we have, the problems is that the big guys are shipping and taking a full truckload on their own. The problem with working with SMEs is because SMEs aren't taking a full truckload. He just wants a little bit of space, so many cubic meters in your truck. So how do they get their stuff sent? So they say South Africa trades anything between 13 and 17% amongst of Africa's trade is amongst African states. And I don't think that's true.
You think there's more?
Yes, yeah, because there's a lot of stuff moving and crossing into other countries, not in the conventional way, if I can put it that way. Taxis, buses are carrying a whole lot of stuff that is moving in and out across border all the time. And the volumes that they do,
Quite large.
it's quite large because there's a lot of them, and that they're moving constantly. How many taxis move between South Africa and Swaziland daily? And I'm telling you that they've got cargo. So if transporters could find a way.
Just make sure that as you move, you're not too far from the mic.
So if transporters could find a way to assist SMEs, have a solution for cross-border trade, because we're talking road freight now, so I'm not going to say up into North Africa for that matter.
It's too far.
It's too far, yeah. But for cross-border trade, if they could have somehow, if SMEs knew that Florence's trucks specializes in moving cargo from Gauteng or South Africa to Botswana, for example, and if you can find a way to combine them, then you'll get some decent volumes. I think what we might struggle with is a return load, though, because now you need to then market yourself in Botswana as well.
For you to get a return load.
So
what I'm hearing you say that if I'm a transporter and I've got 10 trucks, let me locate the people that are already exporting or have products that are going into our neighboring countries, and let me be the go-to person for them every time they want to.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is doing that right now.
Doing that.
Yeah.
So it could be a matter. Yeah, you're correct. I think other people are limited in going to go find themselves a client or find themselves a load. So it becomes a hearsay or referral now and again. But let's stay on cross-border. You travel Africa quite often. I mean, you do missions from an agriculture perspective.
Sure.
You and I'm sure can agree that transport infrastructure in Africa can be a problem to do cross-border.
Cross-border, look, cross-border for us, if you look at, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, I don't have a problem with cross-border infrastructure, our neighboring countries. Getting to Harare, for example, is not too complicated. I've got a problem going further. Like
Middle.
Malawi,
Yeah.
they're now going further up, Tanzania, Angola. Yeah, in fact, even with us, if we are doing air freight into Africa, we will do it on CIF terms. Once it gets to the port, we don't want to be involved in how that product gets from the port to the final destination. Because, Florence, sitting here in South Africa and hearing that there's a truck that's broken down somewhere in Angola, and it's got your cargo, is really stressful because you actually can't even fathom where this thing is.
Yeah.
If you're in South Africa and you're told that your truck broke down somewhere in Northern Cape,
Well,
you have an idea, okay.
And a couple of people to call and say, yeah.
In Angola, you are on your own.
You don't know anyone.
Yeah, you're on your own. And now you're dealing, sometimes the language might also be a problem. Guys are speaking French.
And
so on a once you out of SADC, I would say, road freight
becomes a challenge.
It becomes a challenge.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I know you are also, I don't know if I could use the word advocate for the Africa Free Trade Agreement.
Yeah.
And it is said that I think close to 1 million trucks are going to be required when it is in full effect. And now we're talking about the cost of the opportunity. And the cost of the opportunity is around how feasible is it really for trucks to be on those roads? How feasible really is it for for us to have what you might have called, proper trade relations between African continents? So break it down. It's a conversation that is happening. We are told there's going to be X amount of opportunities for SMEs. So many trucks are going to be required. But because you have a holistic view of logistics and where transport actually fits, what do you have to say about that?
I think rail is going to play a big role. I think rail is going to be the solution for Africa, more than road freight. Road freight, we send trucks up to Kenya, for example. Tanzania you can do as well, but not much further than that. So from that perspective, I think what's very important is for transporters to start building relationships with other transporters in other countries. So if you've got something to transport up to, say, Kenya, you might then get it, for example, to Mombasa. And then from Mombasa, you have another transporter that is more affiliated and more informed on the conditions there. Because if you are delivering to Mombasa, then you're fine. Or if you're delivering to Nairobi, then you're fine. But if now they're saying go to your district,
The problem.
It can be problematic. The roads aren't, but it's even in South Africa, we have some of those problems where trucks, a lot of the guys in the Karoo complain about roads all the time. So it's not like we are immune to it. But yeah, I think rail kind of is able to overcome all of that. If we could improve our rail, I think that is what will actually really be the solution to Africa.
Let's now talk halving opportunities, right? So now you said rail.
Halving.
Yeah, carving, want to be able to carve a path of opportunity for themselves. And I'll stick back to the transporters because I think a lot of small and medium enterprises are truck owners.
Okay.
They're not necessarily doing what you are doing, or they're not necessarily. Not a lot of them even do freight forwarding, for instance, services or the other, distribution or
No,
warehousing.
yeah. So what you're saying, I mean, I don't envy them. I think owning trucks is
Yeah.
is and I've never really been interested in having to worry about if a truck is broken down, is the driver, where are
But
the
yet they're
drivers.
critical to what
they're
you
very
do.
critical. They're very critical. So it's I think it can be very stressful. Those guys grow gray hairs very quickly.
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
And why I'm saying about carving a path or opportunity, right? With the stresses that truckers have, with the challenges that are currently, or the shifts rather, happening within transport and logistics, what would you say for that person that has 5 trucks to start thinking about perhaps they want to get into warehousing or distribution? How do they couple what they are currently doing with added services to grow their business?
okay. So I spoke to you earlier on about 4PL
Yes.
and 3PL, so third-party logistics companies. So what is happening? And I want to take this back to when I was at Sintova. I remember I'd been at the company now for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I started thinking to myself, I'm working for a logistics company. I haven't seen one truck. I haven't been to one warehouse. I haven't seen any of this. And this is a JSE listed, company. Yeah. What is going on? So strategic partnerships are what are actually driving the logistics space at the moment. You don't have to own everything. Find strategic partners in order for you guys to help each other. I think logistics has moved away from people working in silos and as individuals. If you can create the right partnerships with the right people, you can go very far. I want to make an example of the courier companies. You could send something from here to Kimberley or somewhere remote in Northern Cape, say Hotazel. You put it on a Skynet. Skynet collects it from you, but Skynet doesn't deliver there. Some other company
That
ends up
delivers.
delivering there, because otherwise, for Skynet to do that, Skynet must have vehicles that can travel the whole country. So if guys can start working strategically and creating strategic partnerships for warehousing as well, because you've already got your own trucks, you can actually create more solutions without having to own all of that. And I think that's a problem that we struggle with, especially as Black South Africans. We believe a business has to have tangible. I must be able to touch and
Assets,
feel.
yeah.
I want to point at my trucks and say, yeah, Florence, check me out. There's my picture. There's my face on my truck. And I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But to grow, you do not have to
Do.
invest and have heavy capital. You can just partner with people.
Let's talk about the 4PLs. Just break it down
Okay,
to people so that somebody
3PL.
might. Yeah,
It's
it's
3PL,
3. Yeah.
third-party logistics company.
Yes.
So it's what Sintova was. It's what Sintova is. And it's generally how we function as well. So a 3PL will have the clearing, the forwarding, the road, the air, the sea, but they don't own any of those things. Yeah, they just simply connect the different role players, because especially in international logistics, there's going to be more than one role player. If you're sending something to China, there's going to be a transporter who's not going to be the same as the person who's
On the other side.
on the vessel.
No.
Yeah, it's not the vessel now. You're dealing with MSC and you're dealing with... Then when it gets that side, it still has to be cleared that side by a clearing agent that side. So international is... You don't have a choice but to really to form partnerships.
Strategic partnerships.
I think the one company that's doing it now, where they kind of just own everything, and I think they're doing great, is DP World. But they've got in the free trade zones in Dubai,
They've got a
UAE.
crazy network.
They've got a crazy network.
They've got a crazy network.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, I think, why I kept on asking you and wanting you to break down the 3PL It's if you are in this industry, whether you've got trucks, whether you're just doing freight forwarding, whether you're just a supply chain consultant at a corner somewhere, if you're not going to think about how you're going to have edited services in what you are doing, chances are you're not going to survive
Yeah.
in the next 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, Florence, you'll also get quite a number of clearing agents who just do clearing.
Clearing, yes.
But that thing that gets cleared has to be transported.
Transported, yes.
So clearing agents, a clearing agent, you can go to a clearing agent and the clearing agent will clear it for you and then say, thank you, bye, go figure out how you're going to move it. But I've cleared it from customs for you. If you have a relationship with the clearing agent, every time that person is clearing and they tell
have
you,
relationships with brokers.
And they need to, because it works to a clearing agent's advantage as well, because anybody who has something that is being cleared
needs a transporter.
Needs a transporter. 9 times out of 10, they will still need a transporter. Yeah. So make it easier even for the client. Let them get client. People, let's be honest, we all like simple things now.
Yeah.
Things to be convenient. That's why we've got checkers 60/60 and everything. So a person wants to have a place where they can have the whole solution taken care of. They don't want to be talking to a whole lot of different people.
But and what you're saying, it's so true. What I have found, though, is that sometimes we stumble upon opportunities and then we get into an industry. But you do not have a full holistic view of the industry.
Sure.
And therefore, you do not even know how you can be more relevant in the industry and added services that you can provide in the industry. Now let's talk global trade, right? A lot of us as South Africans, we don't even know what we export, what we import. Only now when, Trump talks about tariffs, then we're like, oh, we don't actually manufacture that in South Africa. Oh, that is actually manufactured in South Africa. So just layman's terms, right? Just educate us as South Africans. What do we export?
Oh, obviously your precious stones and pearls. Hence, those haven't been hit with a 30% tariff by the US. So your golds and your diamonds.
So the ones in the mining sector,
the precious stones are safe.
Because
they're not gonna tariff diamonds and gold. No.
Why not? Somebody might not know why not.
Oh no, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Because you see, one of the things, and I'm really keen to observe over the next 2 months, how the US itself reacts to these tariffs. We've been talking about how everybody else how it's affecting us as South Africans. But the people who get hit the most are actually the citizens in the US, because they are the ones who pay that 30%.
It's not South Africa.
We're feeling it because now the buyers are now saying, I can't buy it from you anymore.
I'm moving somewhere.
I'm going to go try get it in Zimbabwe now, because Zimbabwe doesn't have a 30%.
And I'm glad that you brought out that clarity, because when somebody moves, this is where it hits at the most, right? If somebody moves to another country, whomever was tied to that particular product is going to be either out of a job or out of business.
Yeah.
If somebody goes somewhere else and, let's say, I don't know, I'll use apples for instance, right? And says, no, I'm now going to go get it in another country. Whomever was transporting
the whole value chain
gets affected.
The whole value chain.
That is what I think a lot of SMEs need to understand in this industry, is how it's going to affect your business.
It goes even
all
further
the down.
Even the supporting industries too. If you shut down, let's say an I&J plant.
Yeah.
Those guys are eating, let's say there's 300 employees in that. Let's go back. Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, just now in East London. Yeah.
The support industry, not just Mercedes, but the other guys that are also the transporters that are moving those parts for Mercedes.
Very true. I was speaking to
even the caterers.
Yes, I was speaking to a truck stop owner in East London 2 days ago, and he was telling me of how that factory being closed for 30 days has affected his truck stop.
Yeah. He's not selling in this shop now.
No, the trucks are not coming. Right? So the accounts are suspended. We're not using your truck stop for this for 30 days and things like that. But continue around global trade, what we export. I'm learning every day.
We export a lot of stuff. I think We export, I've told you about the precious stones.
Yes.
We do a lot of agricultural exports, and we're quite renowned for that. We do automotive. We export anything and everything. We do a lot of fruits. So the citrus, like you saw, also got hit. Our wines do quite a lot. We do livestock. We export goats. Our goats are very much in demand in Africa. We do red meat exports. We export everything.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. So with that now, AGOA and the ones that are affected by the tariffs, which
Everyone's affected by the
tariffs.
except
Yes,
for
but
the gold.
yes,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about the agriculture side, right, of the products that will be hit by this 30%. Which ones are them? Are they
All of them.
all of them
30%. It's across the board.
of
It's
agricultural
everything.
products?
Not just automotive products.
Oh yes,
books,
oh yes,
clothing.
everything.
Yeah, that's
no.
why
Guys, this thing
You're
is hectic,
jumped
eh?
in. Jeez, he hit Lesotho with a 50%
Oh yes, that
for textiles. Now,
and the industry
Levi's,
is
it's a big thing for Lesotho. A lot of people would lose jobs because of that. I'm not sure if it's still at 50% now with Lesotho, but Lesotho has got a big textile
industry.
and
And
they
very
do a lot.
reliant
China sends to Lesotho, and then they do and then it's sent out to the rest
to
of
other
the
countries.
world. So the 30% tariff is going to, it's what we've heard on the news is the industries that would feel it the most because they do a lot to the US as an industry.
Yes.
That's why you've heard a lot about aluminium,
Yes.
steel,
Yes.
car parts,
Yeah.
automotive parts, and citrus industry. But the other guys are also still hit with the 30%.
They are.
So it's not just those sectors that are affected. It's just that those sectors might be the most affected. It might have the most number of farmers.
I hear you.
Yeah. But there's someone who is making, I don't know, cameras, who's just been hit, or mics, something like this, and was exporting to the US and is feeling it just as hard as a citrus farmer is.
Yeah. It's hectic. Eh? Because now we're standing with the
But it's a
risk of
wake-up
those.
call.
It is a wake-up call. And also we're standing with the risk of people not going to be able. Obviously, that market it might get closed and having to find new markets for their products. And a lot of people might not have thought about that.
It's time to
It's
get
time
out
to
there.
think about it, right? But it's going to affect a lot. But with that said, I know a lot is covered in the news. How is it effective already, or it's still in
Effective.
process?
It's effective now. At 30%. If you send something to the US now,
Right now,
you'll pay that 30% duty. Well, whoever your buyer is in the
Yes,
US,
on the
will
other
pay.
side.
Yeah.
I was not aware that it was
So it's
effective.
gonna affect them. It's going to I still think the people who are going to feel it the most are the
Other
US
US,
citizens. Yeah.
yes. But
Because
I do.
imagine now you were,
But if I was
running a fruit shop.
producing this, right?
let's say you have a fruit shop,
Yeah.
or you're making fruit juices, etc. in your shop,
Yes.
and you were buying apples from South Africa. Now you're having to pay 30% more for those apples. So that price gets passed down.
Down to your
so-
customer.
So you might not, it's not like the whole world has apples. There's some places where you'll find the same quality of an apple than what you were getting in South Africa. So some people may still stick to their suppliers from South Africa and take that 30% hit. But the person who's going to feel it is going to be the person who's drinking that fruit juice, because that's
That
going
it
to come
doesn't
down.
taste the same.
It doesn't taste the same if they get it from another country.
Because it's
true.
not, it
But-
doesn't
but
taste the
if-
same.
It doesn't taste the same, but at the same time, the price is going to go higher for them if the buyer still continues to source from South Africa. So it's not like now, because of the 30%, everything's going to stop. And
No.
we'll
Things
still
do
trade.
continue, yes, and the trade is there. But we cannot deny the fact that we are affected on both sides, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
US citizens will be affected, and also we will
No,
be
we will.
affected.
We'll lose jobs,
We will lose jobs. The whole value line will be affected, and things that happen like this, very sudden. it takes time for one to find the
New
order
markets.
in the chaos.
Mm, mm.
How are you stepping in with obviously your solution? And I know you do quite a lot for cattle in agriculture and seizing the moment.
Yeah. So, Florence, like I said, this is a wake up call. I think it's exciting. I'd
I
like
can
to see.
tell.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I'd really love to see where South Africans are going to be in 5 years. The mindset of a South African in terms of global trade is going to change significantly. Now, before Trump, we just knew of AGOA.
Yes.
Okay, listen.
No.
Now, but we've got a whole lot of trade agreements that we never talk about.
Yeah.
So we've got one, Mercosur. So Mercosur is done with South America, Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, for example. How much do we export to those countries? Barely anything. But we import from them. So we've got preferential trade with
Agreements.
South America. Yeah. But we're not capitalizing on it. You hardly ever hear. It might be the first time you hear of Mercosur.
You can tell. Yeah. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
we've
tell
got
that
those
I myself,
agreements.
I'm learning about it.
And then you've got, I think the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is very exciting for South Africa, and South Africa needs to really
Embrace it.
And, you know, now that we're talking about global trade and we spoke about cross-border, I think, Florence, it's also very important for us to understand that with this whole thing with exports, who do you think we export to the most?
Because I listen to your interviews, I think I've got an idea around
Yeah.
SADC.
Yeah.
I think it's Mozambique and Botswana, right? Am I correct?
So SADC as a whole.
SADC, yeah.
If you combine our exports to Mozambique and Botswana, that already smashes the US, our exports to the United States of America.
On the same...
Now look at the size. Look how small Botswana is. Botswana's got more cattle than it has people. Look at Mozambique. These are small countries. These are small countries.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to show you is that there's still a lot of
what
that can be done. Yeah. A lot more markets we can get into. We are exporting a lot. If you took SADC out of South Africa's exports, that would be more devastating
That
than
it is with the
anything.
US.
Oh yeah, or even China, worse than China, because SADC imports from South Africa. 70% to 80% of their imports come from South Africa.
So you're saying to entrepreneurs in this space, hone in on SADC?
No, I wouldn't say hone in on SADC.
Yeah.
Maintain SADC. SADC is
Maintain it.
SADC is.
And the
You
ones
must
that have
remember.
not explored,
Yeah, the ones that haven't exploded,
the
go,
ones-
guys,
yeah.
get your passports. You know where we
let's start
started.
there.
Guys must get their passports. So with SADC, what you find is SADC was formed to decrease reliance on apartheid South Africa. Then 1994 came. I don't think they ever managed to become self-reliant outside of South Africa. So SADC, Southern Africa, has always been dependent on South Africa.
Oh.
And I wouldn't give us the credit for it. They come here. They come here, they buy here, they know Bloemfontein, they know Joburg, they know South Africa. We don't know their countries. So I don't think it's credit to us that, oh my God, South Africans have gone to Zimbabwe and showcased themselves and been to conferences in Zimbabwe.
We do trade shows in other countries.
Yeah, we want to go to the ones in Europe and Germany, etc. So that's not credit to us. It's because of it's credit to our industry and what we're able to produce. The quality and the standards that we have are very well respected
within the SADC region.
Within SADC, yes. So that's why it is. But it's because Botswana, from Botswana, Zimbabwe, they come here. They go to school here.
They do.
Yeah, they go to school here. They know South Africa.
They do. And what I'm hearing you also say is the importance of exploring different countries in the SADC for your own benefit in trying to find parts of opportunities or discovering parts of opportunities. But my question is, earlier on you said what we're doing for Mozambique and Botswana, it's equal to the US. Is it the same products or is it different?
No, it's always to be
it's
different things. Yeah.
It's different things. So because somebody else might come back and say, or think, oh, well, you don't need the US. And I wanted you to clarify the panic why.
No, we do. Because we're going to lose
Why?
jobs. Yeah. Because it's still big. It's still our second biggest trading partner. So all I was trying to do was show you the importance of what SADC means to South Africa.
Yeah.
SADC is the most important trading partner for South Africa at the moment. That would have the biggest impact if all these people just decided to abandon, all SADC decided to abandon South
it will
Africa.
affect us.
But the US is still a very important market, and that's why you can see, these guys are still trying to negotiate with the US. I think they're wasting their time. I don't see them getting very far. Because I think Donald Trump is quite set on his ways, on what he wants. Donald Trump is still speaking about a genocide in South Africa after I don't know how many people have told him that it's not true. I don't think he thinks it's true, but he's still on it. So, there's no market that we can just say, oh, okay, we're leaving it. No. The UK, we can't just stop trading.
All of them are very important.
All of them are very important.
All of them are very important.
Yeah, some more than others, but the US, because of them being the second biggest trading partner, they are very important to us. We are not so important to them, because they are much bigger. They are much bigger, and they're importing from a whole. That's why everyone is in a panic with these tariffs.
They are. He just shaked everybody up. So let's get back to the port. One of the shipping lines, what's the name of that shipping line that's decided to stop working? Yes, in South Africa. What does that mean?
Higher rates?
Longer time?
Not longer times.
Isn't it that if you're using that particular shipping line, you have to use another one? Because it's not direct to the US, so they'll have to go.
It depends on the route that line's using. Yeah. So it could be that the time frames are longer if the line that you now start using, MSC, for example, or Hapag-Lloyd, doesn't follow the exact same route as Maersk was using.
Because it was direct to the US, right? From South Africa to the US.
To the US,
yeah. And these other ones might have to take a different route, and it means longer time. The rates change as well.
The rates will come higher because there'll be less. The demand will be higher for those other guys.
For the other ones.
So in sea freight, sea and air freight, I mean, those rates are constantly changing, depending on demand. So right now we are at almost the peak of rates. So we were looking at a shipment from China that we're bringing in. We are now on sea. At cost, we're sitting at about $3,800.
What?
But that's a full 40-foot container.
Okay.
And that's just for the sea freight
element.
But in February, we were looking at about $2,300. So it's gone up. More than 50%, maybe 70%.
Take us through your end-to-end solution.
Okay.
And what affects every aspect, let's say from finding the cattle, the buyer, to the seller, to customs, the whole journey, and the different rates at every journey, and why transporters end up with the lowest rate in that value chain. Just take people through the value chain, because I'm asking you this because it's the same as when we started the conversation and you mentioned that not a lot of people know what happens at the port. And I also believe that not a lot of people know end-to-end supply chain or logistics. People just, get a phone somewhere, it gets transported to me, and no one really knows how these prices or rates are being calculated and how it affects the price of your product. So just take us through.
Okay, so you want me to take
it's quite a lot. Your end-to-end solution. Every aspect, like you've just spoken now about sea freight, right? Then there's times where you do air freight. So just take us through the day in time of Thina. You've got cattle.
It depends what you're moving. Depends what you're moving.
Let's take the ones that
the cattle.
Let's do the cattle, okay, and you're taking them somewhere in Asia.
Okay.
And then you have stuff in Asia coming to South Africa.
Coming back.
Yes.
Okay. So.
And they all coming from Limpopo to Asia, and then from Asia they must go back to Limpopo.
Okay, so the first part is the actual product. Okay, where is it? if you are sending, so if you're sending, I mean, if you've seen some of these guys that come from Middle East where they do sea freight for, sorry about that, for live animals, those guys are now taking 5,000, 10,000 cattle. So you're not getting all your cattle from one person. So now you need to aggregate amongst farmers, which often happens. From there onwards, the animals then have to be collected and transported to a quarantine site. That's where they're monitored by a vet for 30 days. It has to be for 30 days at that quarantine site. Upon completion of the quarantine site, that's
are there costs involved at this?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to feed those animals for those full 30 days, and you have to pay that vet as well.
Is this the farmer or is it you?
The farmer then is done. Once that animal leaves his
farm,
yeah, he doesn't want to talk. He wants his money, and there's nothing that's going to leave without his money, and then he's done. He's out of it. So this is where you tend to find, of course, farmers are exporters, because if you're going to export a goat, that has to come from a farmer. But farmers tend to have agents that do this
work for them. Yeah.
So he can say, yes, I've exported to China or wherever he may have exported to, but he's not actually doing the process. He might not even be registered with the customs and have an exporter's code. So you'll tend to find that the documentation of who the exporter is not the farmer. Yeah, and I don't think the farmers want
to do that.
No, they don't want to do that. It's a lot of work. So the animals go through the quarantine. After the quarantine site, after the 30 days are done, they then are taken to the airport or the Tambo. They are then put on a crate. So a crate, it depends on what animals
and you carrying these costs, right?
Yeah, you have to. But I mean, obviously the buyer, whoever's asked for them, is going to have to cover those costs. Yeah. Goes to the airport, then goes on air, flies out to the country of destination, arrives like any other place, and then once it's clearing that side, it's a lot easier. The problem is getting it out of here.
South Africa,
Yeah, because agriculture, you want to fight, you want to prevent any form of diseases. So this is why exporting agricultural products is still the most complicated, because you do not want anything, you don't want an outbreak. You don't want people getting sick in another country because of products that they brought from here. So they have this thing that they call sanitary and phytosanitary standards. So you need to know what each country's requirements are for that product. So what Ghana will want for your oranges is not necessarily what Nigeria will want for your orange. So you need to just make sure that you match all of that. So all of that takes place in the country of export. So if you've got all of that, documentation is right, then you can export your stuff and it should clear quite easily at the other country. If you don't, well, you might just find yourself with 50 cattle stuck in an airport somewhere in Nigeria.
And on ground, you're the one responsible to find the transporter.
Yeah.
You negotiate
the rate with the
transporter. Is there a place transporters can go or a platform if they want to do business with you?
Well, yeah.
You're all about market access.
Yeah, we're all about market access. We're launching the Waymaker Exporters Club, which is really focused on giving market information. So everybody is now sitting there talking about, exports, but where do I export to? So, to find out that information, that's what we're really focused on,
And you cover all commodities, right? I know you focus on cattle.
Only livestock value chain.
Only livestock.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
If I do a webinar,
your mic, sir.
If I do a webinar, and we're talking about market access,
yes,
I can't talk to someone who's doing strawberries and someone who's making T-shirts and someone who's doing cattle. The conversation is completely different.
For all.
So you end up not giving value to all of them. It just becomes a high level chat. Whereas now, if I'm talking to guys who do cattle and goats, I'm gonna dig into goats.
That industry,
yeah, and then I'll be able to, we're able to show, But now, what stats do I show a person who's doing wine, and then I've got a guy with cattle there, and then I've got someone doing vehicles? What stats am I showing them? I'm now showing them generalized stats. I'm now saying South Africa exports 2.5 billion to X country.
But you're not necessarily giving a solid solution.
I'm not saying now look at the rate of our exports of oranges going into Angola, for example. This is a country where we're seeing a trend that it's actually picking up. You can't get there if it becomes very generalized, if you make it open to everyone. And this was something that we realized even with our missions. So when we do a mission, we take a specific sector and not agriculture. Agriculture itself is too big.
It is.
It's too big. There's guys doing milk and cheese. What are you doing with the guy who's doing cheese? Why are you taking him to an abattoir in another country? He's got no business there. He might enjoy it.
And he might
She
have
might
an
have fun.
interest, yeah.
Yeah, it might be fun, but he's not there for, it's not business.
Business, yeah.
So our missions are for business. So if I'm dealing with dairy people, it must be only dairy people. Yeah.
So we just talked about, obviously, the whole solution that you provide with the from where you're gonna get your cattle from, etc. Right? So in all of that, there's paperwork, and the buyer and the seller need to have agreements. I heard you talk about Incoterms, and I'm like, what is that?
Okay.
You know, so break it down. What are that?
Yeah, so Incoterms are legally binding terms between a buyer and seller that have to be agreed prior to any shipment for international shipping. So what it determines is who is responsible for the cargo at what stage.
Yeah.
So if you say, for example, if you say my Incoterms are FOB, free on board, which is a very common one. That means now if I've got we're making furniture and we're here in Johannesburg and we make these couches and I agree FOB terms with my buyer who's in China. It means it's my responsibility to get it to the port. And until that cargo is loaded on the vessel, it's still my responsibility.
Yeah.
Once it's loaded on the vessel, then it becomes the buyer's responsibility. So even the costs associated with that comes to the Incoterms determine what you are responsible for and what you're paying for. So it's a very important thing.
Who carries the insurance?
It depends on the Incoterm. So if you say CIF, so I can do a CIF term where with my furniture now, I'm now getting it to not to the Durban port, but to the port in China or wherever I'm sending it to. So the CIF will be cost, insurance, and freight. FOB is free on board. DDP, delivered, duty paid. So DDP now, so CIF means I'll get it to the port at that country of import, okay? DDP is one that I don't think anyone must do to the US now after this 30% tariff. And what it is, it means delivered, duty paid. So you pay the tariff as well. So that Incoterm means you handle everything until the cargo gets to your buyer's warehouse or address. You are responsible for everything, even paying the customs in that country, in the US. So that 30% comes onto you. So that Incoterms, yeah, there's DDP, and then there's also DAP, delivered at place. So there's about 13 different Incoterms,
Wow.
But they are all there to determine who's responsible for the cargo at what stage. Yeah.
Of the process.
So if you're dealing with a buyer that doesn't know how to move things and doesn't have logistics, you'll most likely do a DAP or even a DDP where you handle the whole thing. But if your buyer is also very well versed in logistics, then you can give it to them and you say X works. There you're not involved at all.
At all.
You have to just ensure that your product is packaged correctly, and once a truck arrives and loads it, it's not your business.
How many people are doing what you're doing? Who's your biggest competitor?
Market access.
Yes.
It's
I'm getting
more
you framed
state.
it nicely when we with the market access. Are we busy logistics?
No, logistics is also part of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition there.
Yeah, but market access, how many people are doing what you're doing?
There are, what you tend to find is there are some government agencies that do it. So, for example, in Cape Town, you have Westgrow. Westgrow has quite a, they do quite a number of missions where they go out into all over the world. Eastern Cape Development Corporation, ECDC.
I just thought about everybody that's selling Dubai perfumes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're doing that as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's part of it.
Exactly. So you get ECDC, TIKZN
So
does some
everybody's
missions.
selling Dubai perfumes or clothes from China. Stop saying, you are. What do they call themselves? Just say you're doing market access.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
e-commerce. They call it e-commerce
E-commerce.
businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So you find that Where's Grow could be one of your biggest
yeah.
competitors.
They are, I would say, but yeah, I think they do a whole lot of different sectors. I'm on the
You just
agriculture.
focusing on agriculture. Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. I've learned a lot. I'm just thinking about my transporters in all of
There's
this.
a lot. I think it's
In all of this.
interesting times.
But over and above that, it's always good to sit with young people that are building unique businesses and that are not afraid of taking risks. Because in what you're doing, you're not only obviously building a business for yourself, but you're enabling a lot of businesses to stay sustainable.
Yeah, it's certainly has a passion to it. This is not
Yeah.
just. I think
But
there's a passion to help people. Also, of course, you also want to make money and grow financially. But if I can, when I'm 60 years old, I can sit back and say, I opened a trade route. What's happening between East Africa and South Africa? I played a significant role in opening that up. Yeah,
and the value chain and how many businesses will benefit from that.
Yeah, and we want to improve. So, people think of exports and imports only from a perspective of a buyer and a seller.
Yeah.
But there's also partnerships. So you ask yourself, why do I have this interest on agriculture for and East Africa particularly? Africa. I just think East Africa is the best place for us to grow into from SADC. If we're taking advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Trucks can get to East Africa. Language, they speak English.
There's not a lot of barriers.
So it's easier to do business with them. But I'm not sure if I've forgotten the question now.
No, you haven't. You were just highlighting the passion that you have.
Yes. So why? Because we want South Africa's got very good genetics on our livestock, our goats and our cattle and our sheep. So in order to improve the productivity in East Africa, they need to get our genetics. So they are importing. No one in East Africa is importing a cow from South Africa to slaughter it.
Really?
No, they want to improve the breed standards of their own cattle.
Yes.
Yeah. So they if I can give a simple example, if you want to understand Africa from an agriculture perspective, go look at Lalin, go look in our rurals. Yeah. They're actually more advanced than we are on the rural side. Way more. I mean, if you go to guys in Tanzania, when Tanzanians say they export, they do a lot of exports to the Middle East. To Dubai, etc. Whose cattle is that's being exported? Whose sheep? Whose goats? It's the guys from the rurals.
Yes.
Yeah, there's you don't get a lot of commercial farmers in Africa. It's only South Africa that has big commercial farmers. Guys who've got 500, 1,000, 1,500 heads of cattle, etc. Their guys have got 510 each of them. But they are supplying even the dairy industry. If you're buying milk, if you're consuming milk in East Africa, it's coming from that rural area, There's no clover and these big, no.
Which we have.
Yeah, so that's the one element where I would really want, this is where we need to learn from Africa. If our rural farmers could adopt some of the practices that are done by the rural farmers in Africa, from a productivity perspective, we could go far. Yeah, we could go far. And they meet those standards. I just spoke to you about how difficult it is to export agricultural products.
Yes.
But they meet those standards. The guys it's their goats, it's their sheep that are being eaten now in the UAE. So it's not just about simply the export of product
No.
from that perspective.
Yeah.
There's actual skills and knowledge transfer that is also still very important. I mean, we did a mission a month ago where we took Northwest University Business School. So because they want students that like want to run like exchange programs between different
and
for
the younger
skills
you are,
and
the
knowledge
better.
development. Yeah,
Yes.
there are guys who want to come. You have no idea how many people want to come spend 6 months on a farm in South Africa to learn, just to learn how to do this thing or learn better how to run the dairy. So Africa does not have the commercial.
But
Their
there's
rural is nowhere
knowledge.
near. Yeah, there's knowledge, and you must remember it's generational. They've had that land it's generational.
From one
Their
generation
grandfather
to the next.
did it. Yeah, their great grandfather did it.
And over the years, they've improved.
Yeah, so they've got their systems in place. They are not as advanced and as capable as our commercial guys, but they are definitely better than our rural guys. And that's where, with this Africa Continental Free Trade Area, guys, let's stop being
Hesitant.
we too good for Africa or we better. No, there's so much we can learn from, especially for our rural farmers, because that's where the big difference is. If you want to see big numbers increase in South Africa's export capacity, you need to empower the rural. That's 80% of the population. They're not involved. So if 80% of the population can't be involved, if you get them involved, our productivity and our capacity to export will shoot through the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
Oh, export will shoot through the roof.
From today, I'm going to go look at that.
Our rural area, I would love to take, a community from the Eastern Cape and Free State, rural farmers, and go let them see what happens outside of, even in Lesotho for that matter, let them see what happens outside of, because those guys, the small guys, are satisfying the demand, the milk, etc. I mean, I know in Kenya
their local demand.
They go around collecting milk in milk bottles. There's guys on bicycles. Yeah,
selling them on the streets.
No, they go collect from the farmers every day. But then there's so many of them that then it all gets taken to
a market or somewhere.
To a market, yeah.
I'm gonna
so
look
Africans, we don't, as South Africans, we might have Cape Town and Joburg and Sandton and everything
You so
else.
over South Africa.
No, I love my country. I love my country, but we are not better.
Yes.
We are not.
There's strengths in every country.
There's strengths in Africa.
There's strengths in Africa.
And we can work. We can work with them. We've got a lot to give to Africa, and Africa's got a lot to give to us.
Before we close the conversation or wrap it up, you mentioned that you're starting something under Waymaker.
Yeah, so we want to do an exporters club. Okay?
Waymaker.
Yeah.
I nearly sang the song, but tell us more so that people that are going to watch can follow you.
So we launching a Waymaker Exporters Club, and this is basically a society. If you look at one of the reasons why, so we are very much in agriculture. One of the reasons why South Africa has such good agricultural practices is because South Africa has got a culture of societies. So if you are a Boer and cattle breeder, there's a Boer and cattle society. There's a Boer goat society. There's a lot of societies in South Africa for agricultural societies. And now you got to understand why these things are so important, because farmers live in remote areas. They're there by themselves. So these societies create groups for them. And this is where they get information on what's happening, what's the latest.
It's access to knowledge.
And a network of people. Yeah. And then they'll have a monthly study group where they all meet, etc. So those societies are very key to the sector. So we realized then, why don't we just have a society for exports? Yeah. And that's what we're busy doing.
No, that's great. And I hope our platform can help you get a lot of members on your society.
Yeah.
I hope you also open it up for truckers to come and network with the exporters.
Transporters have an opportunity there.
Yes,
definitely.
they do.
Yeah.
There is a link. Somebody must transport.
Yeah.
No, but
Definitely.
that's great. What an amazing conversation. I'm trying to find the right words to describe the kind of conversation that we have. But the only thing I can come up with is it's been absolutely insightful. And we wish you the best. And we are here as a platform to make sure that we can enable you to grow what you're doing. We love seeing different types of entrepreneurial solutions within the logistics space. And you are doing fantastic work indeed. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you are asking yourselves, not even asking yourselves, like your minds are thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't know this about South Africa. I didn't know that about South Africa. And the potential opportunities within our continent. I really, really encourage you all to follow my guest on social media and also visit his website. We're going to make sure that we put it somewhere on the screen so that you can join that society that they are opening up for exports. With that, Thina, thank you so, so much.
Okay, thank you, Florence.